Some stories feel less like they're being told and more like you're living inside them. They dig into this idea that time isn't just a clock on the wall, but something you feel deep down, something that soaks into the walls of our homes and connects our families in ways we can't always see. We're going to dive into one of those stories right now. And it all kicks off with this simple, kind of haunting line. It's a line that feels like it stops time, or at least bends it a little. This isn't just about sunlight, right? It's about how the past and the present can be in the exact same place at the exact same time, bleeding into each other until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And right in the middle of this shimmering, time-bent light, we find our anchor, Catherine. She's 47, standing at the kitchen sink, hands in the water, and she can literally feel the presence of everyone who stood right there before her. We're going to see this house, this whole world, through her eyes. Okay, so to really get her story, we have to start with the space she's in, because it's so much more than just a room. This is section 1, a kitchen, through time. See, this kitchen, it's the heart of the house. It's the center of gravity. You could even think of it like a stage where the lives of 3 women have all played out. Marta, who came from the old country, Eleanor, her daughter who wanted to be all-American, and now Catherine, who's kind of caught right in the middle. And I love this idea of memory ghosts. We're not talking about spooky spirits here. We're talking about memories so vivid, so real, that they practically live in the house with her. So when Catherine's at that sink, she's not alone at all. She can almost see her grandmother in black and white from 1947, her mother having a tough moment in 82, even her own daughter Sophie running around as a little kid. The past isn't gone, it's right there. So there's actually a perfect word to describe this kind of layering of time and memory, and it's a fantastic one: palimpsest. It originally came from old manuscripts, where they'd scrape the parchment clean to write something new, but you could always see faint traces of the old text ghosting through from underneath. And that's exactly what this house is. It's a palimpsest of lives. Marta's journey, Eleanor's heartaches. They're like that faint, underlying text that Catherine's own life is now being written on top of. This house isn't just built of wood and nails. It's built of stories, stacked one right on top of the other. All right, so we've talked about the place. Now let's dig into the people who filled it and what exactly got passed down. Let's get into section 2, the weight of generations. So here you have this line of women, this unbroken chain, right? You start with Marta. She's the root, bringing her traditions and these precious tomato seeds with her. But then her daughter, Eleanor, she tries to cut that root, to forget the past and just be American. Catherine is stuck in the middle, trying to hold on to both. And then there's Sophie, her daughter, who looks at this whole long chain and thinks, just one thing, I gotta break it. And what they're passing down isn't just the house or some old furniture. It's this invisible stuff, the exact way to make a certain tomato sauce, the unspoken family rules, how to carry both joy and sadness in this very specific way. It's an inheritance you feel in your gut, not something you'd ever find written down. But this is where things get really tense, because that chain, that long, invisible line of inheritance, it's about to face its biggest threat yet. Section 3, a broken chain. See, for Sophie, the 4th generation, this house isn't some warm hug from the past. To her, it feels more like a cage of expectations. That endless chain doesn't feel like connection, it feels like a heavy weight, keeping her from starting her own new story in the city. And look, this isn't just a young person moving away. This is a conscious, deliberate choice. She feels like her life is already scripted by people who are long gone, and she just wants out. So the future of this whole lineage, this entire world inside a house, is totally up in the air. And the results of that, you can feel it. It's this stark emptiness. For 73 years. Think about that. This house was buzzing with 3 overlapping generations: grandmothers, mothers, daughters. And now, for the first time, it's just one. The silence itself is a character in the story now. But just when it seems like that pattern is broken for good, something shifts. A weekend visit from Sophie, and it changes absolutely everything. On to section 4, the grandmother's untold stories. So the family has this story they tell themselves about who they are, right? It's built on a certain version of their past. But just think about this for a second. What if that official version, the one everyone knows, is missing the most important parts? And here is the beautiful twist. It turns out that Marta, the grandmother, only shared her deepest, truest stories with Sophie, the one person who was far enough away. Her own daughter and granddaughter were just too close to it all. So Sophie, the one trying to escape the family history, suddenly becomes the keeper of its most important secrets. And these stories? Wow. They reframe everything. The journey to America wasn't just some big adventure. It was a trauma. The communal oven she talked about wasn't just for baking bread. It stood for an entire way of life she had lost forever. And maybe most important of all, that first garden she planted, it wasn't about survival. It was a conscious, deliberate choice to arrive, to finally say, okay, this is home now. So, with this new knowledge, with these untold stories finally out in the open, it leads to this huge transformation in how the whole family sees itself. Our final section, from weight to ground. And this right here is the absolute core idea of the whole story. What Sophie always saw as a weight, a heavy burden, a script she had to break, she starts to see as ground, a foundation, a root system giving her life. The facts of the past didn't change, but the story they told about it did, and that changed everything. So how do they start to mend that broken chain? Well, it's not some big, dramatic Hollywood moment. It's a series of small, real, human steps. They share the stories. And then Sophie starts feeling this pull, this homesickness for the very ground under her that she was running from. And it all leads to this simple, beautiful request. Can you teach me how to make the sauce? And this is it. This is Marta's core wisdom, a memory that now finally makes perfect sense to both Catherine and Sophie. This was the lesson all along, passed down through the years, and now they get it. The roots were never a cage. They were the source of life itself. So, in the end, this story really shows us that our past isn't some fixed thing set in stone. By digging a little deeper, by unearthing the stories that were maybe too hard to tell before, we can totally transform its meaning, from a weight that holds us down to the very ground that helps us grow. And it leaves us with a pretty powerful question, doesn't it? What stories in your own family are just waiting to be retold?